Okay. Ah, wait 1 second. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, it's been crazy. It's been crazy lately. Oh, how we doing, chat? Howdy, Xavier. Hey, nobody. Nobodyino. How you doing? Ay. Of course, we get the fog as soon as I come in to start playing. Fucking Liurnia lever weather, man. Can I hit the lever for the Liurnia weather? Yeah, you know, the ruins aren't that extensive, you'd think. Like, honestly, it's pretty... Like, this is like the extent of them. So that's like what? Like about this? Like just this little area? That's about as far as we get with the above ground stuff, I would say. Wouldn't you agree? All right. I know we've seen this blue and white flowers in tons of places. I just don't remember where anymore. Like, I remember them being fairly common. These light blue and white flowers. Yeah, not exactly sure. I don't remember if it was like an ancient dynasty thing in general or with the ancestral followers or what have you, but it feels like it's... Feels like we've seen it a few times. I'm still really curious about here in Lake of Rot. This really has my brain going. Because when you look at... There we go. When you look at this, you're like, okay, there's all this rot here. But then you also got these flowers, and they're not the Caelid rotted type flowers. They're the normal Erdleaf flowers. Which is really weird, because you shouldn't be having the Erd tree's leaves falling here. We normally only see that above ground. Like, we don't even see any over here in the deep root depths where you actually have leaves falling. In fact, we have leaves falling all the way down to here. So that has me wondering. And that's something I would mention. It would be like, okay, is the idea supposed to be that the leaves flow all the way down and they settle here and they happen to grow? Okay, but if so, why is it that the rot, at least this manifestation of the rot, isn't corrupting them like it does in Caelid? And the only thing I can think of is the idea, and again, I've suggested this in Rao as well, that there's some... that a previous order combined the rot with gold. That they kind of were like the rot was the order. And that these things are kind of an allusion to that. Which is interesting. I just don't understand. I don't know how I could build upon that though. But then again, the rot here is very weird because again, we have the tree things. Again, I've talked about this before. These aren't consistent in all the rot areas. These seem to just be supposed to represent like conifers and stuff, which again would make sense. You also have, of course, your standard dead trees Gotta have those things. I'm blind. I am in fact blind. There we are. I don't remember. Ainsel River main, huh? I guess the idea is this is the main route and the other one is just a tributary or something. I'll have to remember that for yeah, I have to think about that one. It's growing up here. We have the dead trees still, of course. It's so curious to me how the trees also are dead all the way back in around here too, as well. But then again, all the plant life from deep root depths on down is still alive still, which is a bit anomalous, so makes you wonder. Lol. I'll never get over all the dead bones and stuff. Pretty sure these are all supposed to be human bones, though it could be there's also animal bones there I'm just not recognizing. I don't see any heads, so they may just be trying to use it as stand-ins for generic bones, period. And it looks like they're using animal bones here. Granted, I think they use some of these like skeleton ones up in the Ainsel, I guess the tributary path or however. Like that's a pretty goddamn big pelvis. And that's a skull. Right? Maybe not. Maybe it's supposed to be like the end of a femur. Oh well. Uh-huh. No, yeah, there's a skull. There is a skull. I was like, I wonder if there are skulls here, but yeah, there is skulls. Specifically including human bones. It's not all the animals. All those ancestral followers did. Okay, they do have some of the stuff loaded. Yeah, okay. Lol. They're ready to jump out. They're ready. Yes, we have a little bit of ancient dynasty stuff. It does make you wonder what the idea, besides obviously the gameplay implications, the idea that you just have like entire portions of your infrastructure that just lift up like this. Like at least with the torch stuff, you're like, okay, maybe this is part of like some ancient like ritual thing or whatever with the torches and scattered about and all that jazz. Here, it's like, nah. Oh, cool. Uh-huh. Up. Cool. Oh, yeah. Night Rain is tomorrow. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm gonna try to download everything so by tomorrow morning so I can have it all set at least on that front. Yeah, they also, is it just me or do they tend to put it around the rot too? Yeah, maybe that's just for convenience of the player, but I do wonder. Put it around these ruins too, so it's not okay. It's not just the rot. Busy around places in general. I guess they want to use landmarks, so players will gravitate toward them, trying to keep themselves unrotted and all that jazz. Huh. Right. God, that's bright. Like, we certainly... certainly produces butterflies. Okay. Let me make sure. There we go. Okay. All right. Nothing really more to see here, right? Work on looking at like the Nox stuff. I'm like, you know, I guess Albinorix is gonna be a bit lengthy, but there's really not too much to have to discuss, I don't think. But I don't know. I've said that before, and it's ended up exploding in size over time. So I don't know if I can trust myself on that one. But it does kind of look like it's mostly like the beginning stuff to establish the Albinorix stuff, because obviously there's just a lot of stuff to talk about involving Silver with the Nox. And most of the other stuff feels like it'd be very short and stuff, like the whole petrifying your populace, giant people becoming Night Lords. What's another thing? Oh, the Dragonkin soldiers, duh. Like, a lot of that stuff seems very simple. So I feel like if I were to commit to Nox, it would be pretty short. We have enough drafts of other things on hand, so I'm looking forward to working on Blood Saints too. Now that the first draft of Tumaru is done, it's like, okay, just got to go through some redrafting, though that's going to be a bit of a pain. Gloamite Queen, for example, yeah. Gloamite Queen was not... Gloamite Queen could have definitely been worse, though. Like, I feel like it's a decent size, but it's not too long, which is why it was actually pretty manageable to do. The harder part for me, I feel like, was definitely the latter sections when I'm like having to like organize and explain like everything involving Melina herself. Because like, again, I have to say a lot of the same things that everyone has always said about Melina, but I also have to try to do it with like more detail and like in the context of talking about the psychology of the character and what she's doing. Which again, I'm very proud of the ultimate work, but like it was very, very dull. Yeah, nothing else really to say here. They definitely had something, it seems like, for rivers flowing through here if they wanted. I am curious about something here. There we go. But yeah, I feel like with Nox, like I'm expecting Nox to be like a 15-pager. Like I'm not expecting it to be super long. I fully expect Nox to be like about 15-ish pages, probably similar to Gloamite Queen in length. Because I do feel like the meaty stuff is the Albinorix stuff, which I feel will take like 3 or 4 pages to talk about in full. And the beginning stuff, because I have to now connect it to Nox and Farum Azula. I will say though, like working on that would make it does kind of whet my appetite to talk about Farum Azula a little. Again, one of the problems with Farum Azula though now is like connecting into the larger cosmology. But again, like I've said before, this has always been my struggle, is like I'm slowly building the knowledge repertoire. So I'm just gonna have to accept that there are probably articles and stuff I'm gonna have to update and expand and build upon as I get a stronger grasp of the bigger picture of the timeline of things, right? I'm just gonna have to work with my very, you know, mechanical understanding. My very, very much, very rigid understanding of how the blocks all fit together. You're not seeing as much here. Yeah, these definitely aren't the ones with the collars. It's only the ones down there. And as I said before, like Mesmer, Mesmer is the new one I dread. Well, my queen, it's like, oh my god, that thing is like it's there, it's under my belt. I just have to like do some of the editing and stuff like that. That's not that bad. Mesmer's Crusade, like, oh my god, just kill me. Because one, we have to talk more about Mesmer and stuff. Like, well, my queen, we talk a good amount about him, right? But we want to probably get into maybe a little more detail. Obviously, we have to talk about the circumstances that lead to him becoming in charge of the Crusade. Ooh. I actually like this because I'd want to talk about how they work with the trolls here. I like this. What if I adjust? Let me lock. Let's lock us in first. Yeah, something like that. All right, let's lock that in. And then, God, I'm sore all over, chat. It hurts. It hurts. I am so weak. One day of working, physical labor, and I feel like my whole body is aching. It is screaming, screaming from the heavens. Why did you do that, you moron? Just hire someone. And I'm like, no, this stuff costs enough money. I will do it myself. Something like that. I think it looks good. Anyway. So cool, we got a little like guilty corpse here with the troll stuff. I can add that to Fire Monks for the next drafting. I knew it. I was like, there's no way they're letting me survive. What's the lore for the troll throwing the pots, dropping Arteria leaves? Which trolls do that? The ones over here? Is it like a guaranteed drop the Arteria leaf, or is it just a random thing? Because I'll be honest, this is the first I'm hearing about it, Xavier. I did not know. To be honest, Arteria leaf has just become that annoying thing I rant about because I get it whenever I think that I might get an actually decent item. Oh, go away, you. No one likes you either. Mr. Crow, I think it's all bone. I don't think you're getting anything tasty here. You know, that's just me, but like, don't let me stop you. Over here? So yeah, you mean the guys over here, right? So if it's not the pot, it's the troll, then I mean, it's not like Arteria leaves are particularly common here, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Arteria leaves aren't particularly common in this place. So the only thing I can think of is that the trolls would use it for something. But they're not really fiery. I mean, we do see them combined with fiery stuff for things like the that perfume. So there's that. Was this a mistake? Like, why do you randomly have this thing here? Like, what was this supposed to be the beginning of a camp or something? Like, why we randomly got this thing? All right, just take a shot of it so I remember. Loki, how'd you reach the conclusion about the Twin Shield Knights of DS2 Undercrypt wanting to conquer the place, liberate and free those twin deities depicted in their shield? I don't remember exactly if it was to liberate those deities. necessarily. But if we're talking about the nature of the deities themselves, the shield, of course, mentions it in the talk of like stuff in the underworld and stuff like that. We have no indication that they're real, no reason to really believe they're real in light of the larger context of the lore and everything like that. By all indications, they're probably mythological. But obviously these knights are really big on them and they're coming over there. So the fact that they have a really big thing for those specific entities and they've come all the way over to the undead crypt, and are supposed to be, I forget if they're like the Imperious ones or the Insolent, but you know, the whole point of being that they get a little bit too big for their britches. And the obvious conclusion would be they're probably there to take over and at the very least meet those two those two guardians of the underworld or something like that. I mean, that again, I have to go back and like kind of read. Yep, because I might be forgetting something. It is DS2. Oh, did am I crazy? I could have swore I saw it again. I guess I'm crazy. I could have swore I saw this stupid little brazier hanging somewhere. Nope. Okay. I have to include the stuff in Undead Crypt, I think, about the witches and like what they use their staff for versus not, I think, still. So I can double check this stuff, make sure I'm not forgetting anything for the other guys either. Oh! Whew. Yeah, there's just this thing. I don't get it. Did somebody make a mistake? Do they want to put a little... They want to put one of these little spear things, these little impaling stakes as torches. We got Grace Mimics here. Another one of these giant ass hands. Actually, you know what? I could go for trying to get a shot of this thing. Because I don't think I've ever gotten a shot of the ones up there. I don't even remember if I mentioned there being multiple. Huh. They have the blue glow, but it's the smoldering butterflies. Huh. That's weird. Am I crazy? All right. Let's go there. Yeah, so guy would throw Arteria Leaf. Sorry, no, he would throw the pots from over here. There are Arteria Leaves here on the summit, but again... Weird that you can make pseudo grace with human bones. We can get runes from human bones, or at least runes are attracted to human bones based on what we get with the Dominula women. So I don't think it's that absurd that you can take any random human bone. It'll have enough grace to make a false facsimile of grace, if that makes sense, right? Like, it's like, okay, there's just enough golden power here that you can make a hollow image of grace, but there won't be any substance to that power, if that makes sense. Yeah, let's reset them here. Well, if they're greeting the dead, Nobre, then I think that kind of is self-explanatory. Like, where are they greeting the dead? It's some kind of land of the dead. Right? All right. Yeah, interesting. Is it just these trolls, or do all the trolls drop Arteria leaves? Because if it's all trolls, then I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something more like cultural or something going on there. But if it's like just this guy, oh God, there's, wait, there actually are quite a few Arteria leaves here. Huh. I don't know, maybe this guy's growing them and he just doesn't like that we're going by his garden. I mean, this is the first time I think I've ever seen 4 of them so close like this. Am I crazy? Never thought I'd read the lore of Cuckold. I'll be honest, I found the Cuckold Melina stuff to be one of those things where I'm just like, oh my God, like it all makes sense, but what the fuck? Like this feels like I was half convinced this was just something that only made sense because I had lack of sleep. But it's like, damn, now I'm well rested and I still think it still makes sense. I know for sure that the pot ones drop them. Yeah, I wonder if the others do though. But this is what gets me. If we have 4, if we have 4 of these this close, oh, what type of pots are they? We don't have any pots around the dude. It's not. Is a fire pot or exploding pot or something? Like, I think that'd be it, right? All right. Wiki says all of them drop them. Well, yeah, it's the wiki though. But assuming that that's true. Ooh, what could be the implications? Like, this is a huge mass of Arteria leaves. Like, 4 this close? Like, we don't usually see that. I'm trying to think if we have any other examples of Arteria leaves. Like, I'd have to probably double check everything Nardi's posted to double, because I don't know. I feel like we would have talked about this before if there was something this obvious. Well, because Arteria leaves are kind of weird in that respect. It kind of made sense when you tried to connect them to the Crucible, but it's like, okay, if they're not Crucible related, because they don't seem to at this point, then what's going on with them? I'm generally tweaky. I can't find my 60-ounce insulated water bottle. I had it when I went to the gym and now it's gone. I checked the car, retraced my steps, and turned the house over looking. Yeah, I don't know how to help you there. Nick. Unless the answer is that it actually is back at the gym. Oh wait, there's more. Yeah, this is 3 in a group. Okay, something's going on here. Like, this is a pattern. Like, this is a pattern now. Like, another group of 3? Like, okay, forget about the troll with the pot throwing it. If it's true that all of them have it and we're finding them in these big groups, then clearly there's something related to Arteria leaves and the fire giants. Maybe the life energy from the giants made a lot of them grow. Maybe, but like, does that mean that it's just life? It's not necessarily Crucible connected, but just life energy in general from life in the regions of places? Question mark? Or is it like a sun thing? I've gotten the impression, at least from some people, that they feel like the sun might be connected to the Fell God. And if the Fell God is the sun, now obviously I've also had theories about the greater will in the sun before too. But if any of that is true, there could be an argument made that the reason we see Arteria leaves everywhere else is because of the sun. And then the reason why we see it with the fire giants is because the fell god is present there, so more of that energy is given out, right? Hey, Nicolino. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I'm hoping you'll find it then, Nick. I'm assuming the gym is closed by now, but I'm hoping like you'll be able to go back and find it at some point. The dragon flower from the DLC graphic looks very similar to Arteria. Ooh. Can we somehow connect it to dragons then? Because we did have the dragons on the summit at one point. Yeah, that's very true. Because the whole dragon energy stuff from the hearts and everything. That might also play into this fell god idea though too, if the idea is like heat and energy. But the problem is obviously specifically blood. The attention to blood is very, right? Because that's the idea, right? Those flowers are growing from the blood of those who had the heat of the dragon, right? And presumably this idea of dragons having a lot of heat and stuff in their bodies and blood, presumably from life energy and stuff flowing inside them, would explain fire breathing. Like they learn how to channel the heat in their bodies through their fire breath, and obviously like whatever other breath they have, you know, obviously magic breath or frost breath or what have you, and like they cold or something. So that would explain that. All right. Huh? Am I crazy? I could have swore it was around here. Am I just not close enough? Okay. Maybe I have to go around. Like, don't tell me this hand thing just kind of comes out of nowhere. It'd be super weird. Could also maybe come from old heroes dying in this summit for the war. Would we want to say that just the heat from heroes dying? I mean, it could work, because you always make an argument that there's always going to be powerful people dying everywhere in the lands between, especially with all the warfare. I'm trying to find this stupid hand. I'm really not. Wait. Huh? Is it all but certain that the Formless Mother and Bloodstar are the same entity, or is there any ambiguity there? I don't think it's unreasonable to claim that they're the same entity, but I can't pretend that I know enough about them both to say for certain that they are. Like, I'm open to hearing the argument for both cases. Huh? Did it just pop in out of nowhere? Oh no, is it underground? Is that the thing? Is it not that it's hanging around, but it's literally just under? It's down deep? Yeah. Okay. In that case, we'll do this then. Let's try to catch you in slow-mo, my friend. Where'd you land on that perfumer theory? I haven't fully decided, but I'm willing to entertain the idea for the time being. Again, I have to think more because the closest example I can think of to compare to the Nox would be the Draconians, because they also have dark skin and dark sclera. Though in the case of the Draconians, the skin is because of the connection to stone with the dragons and their gravel scales and all that. Right? Well, yes, this actually works better than I thought. Something like that. There we go. There we are. I like it. There we are. The crystal tier you find in this area is a basin. In the basin is the Crimson World crystal tier that converts elemental damage into HP. Elemental damage is in holy, lightning, fire, etc., right? That might lean into the idea we have then. Yeah, it's interesting when I throw shit. Yeah, it's one of those theories where it's like, okay, if it's true, great. Like, it'd be a complementary thing. Again, if I wanted to include it, especially if I want to include it into Prey Perfumers, I'd have to think a bit more on the angle I'd want to go with that, right? Because, again, it is something that'd be like, if it's true, like, cool, neat. It's a neat little detail, but it's not like the most... It's not the most major detail. I'm not going to be depending a lot of analyses on it. Again, I do think, though, it could... If true... It could go a long way in explaining why there seems to be such a specific prohibition on the ingestion and stuff of perfume, right? And we can see that, yeah, you can make perfumes that heal you, and you can make stuff that isn't strictly, you know, harmful. But I guess you could ask yourself how much Iron Jar, the Iron Jar perfume and stuff like that is really good for you long term. I don't know, transforming your body into steel even temporarily for a bit. I could see somehow that having a terrible long-term side effect the game's not going to bother going through. Anyway. Woo. Yeah. Oh. All right. Come on. Come on. There we go. 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 Oh my God, there's more of this. Okay, I've never noticed before, but Arteria leaves, you're just... Arteria leaves are just, I guess, like, God's chosen plant. They're, like, everywhere on this summit. Oh. Hey, whenever this happens, chat. Ah! Oh my God. There we go. All right, cool. Perfect. My other thing is I just want an explanation for the direct holy weakness. Yeah, I agree. Again, it'd be one, okay, like I said, I was originally being like, you know, just Dirty Face of the Prey perfumers. Oh, it's for also the existing perfumers? Okay, that's a little bit odd. Oh, they also have the Dark Sclera thing going. Okay, that's a bit odd. Oh, and they have this thing with Holy that that even though they're clerics, it's like, okay, that's a whole lot of oddness, right? Like, that's like super extra major special odd. So I do feel like the Nox connection is something worthwhile. And I think the idea that because of the Nox connection, there is that focus on trying to separate themselves from like the Nox alchemical stuff, like we see with the droughts and the puppets, and we see with the we see seemingly with like the Kudasimi questline and this whole pouring with the drink and drinking cup and all that stuff. So I could definitely see there being this idea that, okay, we're trying to take this this heretical practice of the Nox, and we're trying to turn it into good, right? And so how we will turn this into good is, one, of course, using, you know, plants and you know, that type of stuff, and two, we're going to make sure we don't ingest. Now, of course, as we know, there's tea and stuff like that, so that's another type of mixing thing, but obviously that's nothing like a perfume or a potion, right? Any explanation behind the ghost trees and animals? I can't give you the specific explanation, Abyss, because I don't know enough about the cosmology. I assume it has something to do with the ice, because it's very obvious that the snow was not always on the mountaintops. The freezing lake and the river were obviously not freezing once upon a time. We see a bit of the old environment in Spirit Caller Cave, kind of like what we see a little bit of the old Caelid environment in Dragon Barrow Cave. So there is kind of this idea of, oh, this is what the area used to look like once upon a time. So there's something about the ice that's unnatural, or at the very least some major shifts that cause the ice to appear. And I wouldn't be surprised if the ice being derivative from water and the connections we see between water and spirituality are a sign that there's like the ice and snow here all results in like high spirituality that causes, for lack of a better word, spirits or records of the past to be shown. Because as far as I can tell, it looks like, at least when it comes to the trees, this could also apply to the animals, but at least for the trees, it kind of looks like the trees are set up in a way to kind of indicate not only like trees that were once there, but also parts of land that was once there. Like sometimes you'll have trees where it's like, okay, maybe this is like reasonable the way they have this, but then you'll see where they put like trees at extra higher elevations and stuff like that. They do the same thing down there, and there's even some spirit jellyfish that are also placed at higher elevations. So it kind of tied together gives me the impression that this is trying to showcase how the land has changed. And sometimes we'll even have it where there's like overhangs or places where there is no land or anything, and yet there'll be trees like floating high above the air above it and stuff like that. Right, see, like with this guy, like usually these guys are close to the ground, right? So it makes me think if all of this is supposed to be indicating that like there was once maybe some land or something here that was higher up, right? Or over here and stuff like that, right? And that the idea is because we know trolls and giants or whatever had roars that would cause avalanches and things like that, that a lot of the land as we see it has been reshaped by the giants living in the region, and they end up causing a bunch of land masses to collapse and stuff like that, and trees to end up being killed or destroyed along with it. So now we have like these spirits and stuff, right? I've considered that. Now why they don't show any living trees here, I don't know if there's something deeper going on there. Also worth noting how the trees have some type of crystal, but probably like ice crystal or something. See? They're frozen. Right, like you got the leaves here, got the ice crystals here. I think it's kind of cool. This looks like another dimension effect, really weird. I don't know if another dimension would be the word, because again, we have spirits like the jellyfish and stuff, so I don't think it's that unusual. Do you think this area has any ties to ancestral spirits, like the ice could be a vector for wandering souls? Again, I don't know enough about ancestral spirits and how they're formed and all that stuff. Because, like, for example, if we're talking other dimensional stuff, like, I think of, like, when we fight the deer, and the deer seems to clearly be a case of us, like, going into other dimensional crap. That I'm like, yeah, for sure. Ooh. No, we find spirit caller snails up here, so sing snails. Yeah, I was about to be like, could there be another Gelmir connection with these guys here? But no, I think it's fine. I think we already have spirit caller snails, so that's not crazy. Also, the idea in general that we have both spirit caller or regular snails actually might be useful, considering we have the snail snakes in Rao and stuff like that. And obviously, this area was like a Rao ruin, so... Yeah, I don't know if it's like the fire giants moving in caused the snow, if the snow predates them, or something else happened that came after. Because we also have, I think the snow has to predate the fire giants, because I'm pretty sure we already had the ice dragons when the giants move in and push them out. So I get the feeling like it's at least been here for quite a while. I guess the question would be, at what point did the snow and stuff come in, and for what reason? I don't think it's related to the astrologers, because I feel like there'd be, if it had anything to do with the founding reign of stars and stuff, we'd see more glintstone involved here. But there doesn't seem to be any attempt to even mine glintstone outside of this tunnel. Though granted, this could be because the idea is they already took all the smithing stone they could here for the war effort. That could be the idea. Still learning. Yeah, demi-human tribes living up here. Crazy buggers. Why do you want to live up here with all the bats? Absolutely batty. It's cool seeing the crystal stuff on the leaves. Yeah, we got stargazers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so looking over at the stuff with the Arteria leaves, I'm just like, oh, there's a lot of groupings of Arteria leaves on that summit. Good to know now. That's something that's also now going to be on my mind. It has to derive from some kind of life energy, so the idea that the giants being larger have more life energy to spare would make sense to me as well. Unfortunately, I don't recall if there's like a dearth of Arteria leaves in Caelid or not. Maybe I have to check Nardi's stuff, see if she lists anything noticeable there. Because if we see similar stuff in Caelid, then it's like, okay, now we have a correlation where it's like, okay, well, we have giants that once were there, and now we have giants in the new place where they're at, and both of them have the same weird phenomenon. It's like, oh, okay. But I feel like it'd have to be giants on the mountaintops only, just because I get the feeling that the giants didn't have the Fell God in their bodies or anything until they got onto the summit. I feel like that's probably what they're going for there. Because, like, if you already have the Fell God and all that stuff there, I don't see the point of moving up to the summit. I feel like it makes more sense if you're trying to get better contact or communion or whatever with your god by going to a higher place. I know there are some there, so there are some, but are they grouped up like we see would be the question then. Like, do we have major groupings of like 3 or 4 Arteria leaves together, right? Like, we got nothing over here. Nothing. Whew. Yeah. These kind of remind me of the Erdleaf flowers. Is it the same like basic art that they just recolor, or? Uh-huh. There we go. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there has to be a tab for these specifically. God, why did I get so many Trina lilies? Okay, yeah. It's the same basic look as Erd leaf stuff. It's just recolored. These are definitely not Erd leaf flowers. Okay. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's kind of like the Roa fruit. Yeah, that was what I was thinking. I was like, is it something where it's like we could be having flowers that come from the Erd tree's leaves, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like they're actually spawned from the embers. Which I guess you consider an ember a leaf of a flower. For those that don't know, terms like sparkle or fireworks and stuff use the kanji for fire and flower, or spark, I should say. So like, you can essentially. So like, I actually was pointing this out for perfumers. It's like you can have stuff like, oh, it's okay for us to be using, you know, flame in our perfuming arts, right? Because we work with flowers, and you know, sparks are a kind of fire flower, you know? It's totally legit. So yeah, I'm just thinking like, I guess in a sense you can think of embers almost as like leaves then, if you think of a spark or a firework as a flower, you know? Aye. Alrighty. Yeah, I think that's enough looking around here. I don't think we're gonna find anything else unless there's like another spot with lots of Arteria leaves I missed. Which granted there could be. Some of these were I mean there's like a patch there and a patch like right next to it there. So like God knows there could be so many of these things. So yeah, I don't think flower garden idea with our buddy up here makes sense. I think these guys are just doing their job, and there just happens to be lots of Arteria leaves around that all these trolls have to be looting, assuming that they do in fact all drop them. Yeah, nothing back here. Okay. Pots the Giants throw are Carian Bloom magic pots, so the Carian / astrologer connection. Is it the same ones you get in Celia, or are those different? Let me get our friend here. Those are the same, yeah. So yeah, then I would just assume generally astrologer and magic then. It's funny how they still use the like the same Erd tree lid type thing, but it's like really sunken in, I guess, because they just want to give like they didn't want to go to the trouble of like putting like a black circle there to like block off the contents for the effect. I mean, overall, it just looks really low poly. I just find it funny. There we go. All right. Oh, well, I was not fast enough there. I died to blue magic flame. I don't know if I mentioned the blue magic flame in my Giants War stuff. It has been so long since I looked at that one, so might want to add. Because I don't think I'm going to mention it anywhere else. I guess I could if I wanted to make the idea that, I don't know, I don't think it'd be fair to say like, oh, maybe they work together, right? Because like, you could always argue that's just a case of the result of the war and the astrologers, surviving astrologers being enslaved for that. You definitely always make that case, so. If I recall correctly, the snow trolls also have different looking eyes. Don't they all have yellow eyes? Maybe I imagine that. I don't know how different they are, but these look kind of familiar to me. Their skin looks darker though, which I kind of expect because, you know, they're in the snow. That part makes sense to me. Surprised this is a Night Rain stream. I mean, I don't have Night Rain or anything downloaded or what have you. Tomorrow for sure. Today, not so much. I'm hoping I won't be as sore tomorrow too. I actually want to be able to be mobile and stuff. Yeah, this just takes you up here. Like I said, I want to add that to the Fire Monks thing because may as well make a point about coming together between the sinners, the criminals. Huh. Oh. Yeah, no more arterial leaves on this side. Like we'll get the random slugs and stuff. Can you compare them for me? No problem, Xavier. Let's go find some trolls. Some regular ass trolls. Yeah, and then everything goes back to normal here. All right, let's go check on the Magreva. All right, Rimo Gurebu. What's got you sorted? Oh, I've been doing a lot of, I did a lot of construction by hand. May show you guys later once it's all done, but made sure to get myself more shelves. Gotta have more space for my manga collection. That thing's only gonna get bigger, so. Hard to tell. It looks like the trolls in the mountaintops might have it brighter, but I can't tell if that's just like an effect, like a comparative effect, or. It looks like they both have the golden eyes, at least. Right. Everything all right? Oh, yeah, it's fine. I live. It's just a pain in the ass to bend your knees right now. Oh, yeah. Those calf muscles got a good stretch, I will say. Yeah, it looks the same, and I can't tell if it just looks comparatively brighter because of the mountaintops, right? And the Dark's face. But it looks like it's basically the same. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. With the first ones I made, I moved those over to another corner now. So now the new ones are gonna be they're gonna be one what's the word? Block shelving space, whatever. Like they're gonna be, it's gonna be instead of a instead of like 3 blocks of shelving, it's going to be 4 blocks. And then obviously when I stack 2 on top of each other, it's going to become 8 in total. So that's going to be nice. Enough space for another like 480 volumes, give or take. So nice. Way different. I don't know. It looks pretty similar to me. Like the dark reddish sclera, the golden eye. Like I said, it looks like the regular trolls might just be a little bit more faded, but again, hard to tell with lighting. That's brownish to straight yellow. Again, I said faded, but it still looks like it's supposed to be yellow or gold. Alrighty. We got that. There's nothing along here that I want to check out. There's nothing really Celia related that I'd want to refresh myself on. That was yellow sclera. All right, let's look at it side by side then, Xavier, since you want to be all uppity about it. No problem. I did not zoom in as much as I wanted to. I should have zoomed in more for the other guy. This is not going to look as good as it could. Oh well. It is what it is. It's what I get. This still looks more reddish to me. Maybe yellowish. You can make your decision for yourself. Then we got this. That one's definitely like a brown reddish color here. It looks like it might be slightly faded. Again, it's just... This looks like it might be a little brighter. This still looks like it'd be like an orange reddish though to me. All right. Where were we going here? Yeah, there's the pots here too. We have that both here and at the other end of Ainsel after Noxtella. I wonder if the idea is supposed to be they're collecting water? I mean, it is supposed to technically be a well, right? Loki maybe put the most effort to being a weeb than anyone I've ever known. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm buying some Honkai figures because I felt like splurging. So I was just like, I'll buy the Kafka figure. I'll get that Kafka and that Sam. I'll get them both. They both look cool, but like I'm not really like an anime figure guy. I'm not really into body pillows or anything like that. Like I just like owning the manga I have for posterity's sake. It's like I want my grandchildren to be able to read this, along with my anime Blu-rays. But that's thankfully Blu-rays are so goddamn easy. They're so compact. They are the easiest thing to store. Like I just put them in these boxes. Like I have them right here because I'm moving things around. But like the point is, like I got like 4 boxes of these things, and I'm like, I can like put those anywhere. It's like, god damn. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? I'm not someone who buys a lot of things, so like I can afford to splurge every now and then. I'll locate a weeb coop. I do have a few ecchi in my Blu-ray collection. There are one or two. There are one or two in there. Is not enough of a Honkai? Is Kafka big bud? No, no, no. Kafka's hot. Kafka's too hot to be a bug. She is way too hot to be a bug. She's spider themed, but she ain't no bug. Yeah, I do find it funny how they put the wooden coffins here, because I don't think they use those at all in, what's it called? They don't use them at all in Deeper Depths. Yeah, okay. And there's only the stone ones when you go up. Actually, I think there might be a wood one around here. No, they're all stone. Okay. There we go. Actually, funny thing, when it comes to my anime collection, because I have not, because of, like, you know, just all the stuff that the Soul stuff has done to me, I have so many anime on my backlog that I've gotten Blu-rays for shows I have not actually seen yet, but I know I'm going to adore, because I've read the manga. So I know I'm going to love the adaptation, especially considering how well received a lot of them are. So, like, there's a lot of them. Like, I still haven't seen Spy Family, so I've gotten those caught up there. Like, I have seen Tonikawa, and season 1's coming in soon. I need to see if they're selling in the West, the OVAs or not. Yeah, I got those. I haven't seen the new Shikimori-san one. Like, there's definitely a few there where I'm just like, damn. Like, I know I want to own this, but man, I haven't even watched it yet. But I guess it's gonna make it fun when I ever sit down and finally watch the Blu-rays. I don't know. At some point, I'm going to be like, okay, guys, I'm going to disappear for a month. I'm going to go, like, binge all the anime and manga that I have to catch up on later. You're just not going to hear me for a bit. I don't know. There's some of this. There is some of the pots and stuff here, so it's not just that one end. Is it on the other side at all? Like, I'm wondering how common these things are. I could probably throw that in for just general Nox stuff then. And manga-wise, there's still quite a few series I want to grab. Like, there's one series I really wanted to grab, but for some goddamn reason, Volume 2 is not available from my normal vendor. So I'm just like, oh, okay. Because usually I just want to buy the goddamn full thing in bulk. Like, just let me buy all the 10 volumes. So now I gotta find where Volume 2 goddamn is. And I'm the type that I will in fact return your book if it comes in damaged. Like, oh god, you don't know how many times I've returned this one manga volume for this series. Because it's just like, it keeps coming in bent and broke. I'll be like, no, I did not pay for this crap. So I keep on returning it, and then there's like a new. I'm like, oh my! It's like did you like break the entire batch? Did like did the stupid machines that forklift it go into storage somehow drop the thing down like a mountain or something? Like, how the hell are these things all so damaged? Like, why is your entire stock of this one volume damaged? I was very mad about that one. I know it's normie shit, but you've been keeping up on Chainsaw? No. Chainsaw Man, Frieren, like a lot of the more normie stuff I have been holding off on buying because I actually do want to see it first. To see if I will. I'm probably going to like them to death and buy them too, but like I have not wanted to purchase those just because I have not read any of Chainsaw Man manga or anything like that, right? Like, I've heard a lot. I kind of know it from like association, but it's kind of like Hanako-kun. Where it's like, I watched the anime for that one, and I like it. I may buy the Blu-rays for that, but I've never read the manga. I just heard good things about the manga. I've never read the manga. I've just heard good things about it from way back when. And same thing with Chainsaw Man and stuff like that. Frieren was another one that I remember was always getting good reviews. Oh, different jars here. I've never realized. Yeah, because now that I've like divorced this idea from my brain that the ancient dynasty has to come before the eternal cities, and I've accepted just the fact that the ancient dynasty probably comes after the eternal cities, which interesting to see how I'm gonna try to justify the architecture and construction, but neither here nor there. It is now make more sense to me why their oracle stuff has the sigil for Nox stuff, because I can reasonably believe that all their sorcery was learned from the Nox. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, does bubble sorcery, do we even have it? I guess we'll find out. It does require it an arcane, right? Because arcane you could maybe connect to the Nox too, because there is arcane stuff with like their silver, so it's not like outside the realm. Like most of the time they just have int stuff. I don't think I have Night Maiden's Mist on this account. Yeah, don't worry, I'll be giving them a shot when I get the chance. Like I said, my backlog is huge. Like I was able to catch up on the Mushoku Tensei stuff, even though I very much read up on the source material, so I was looking forward to the adaptation of that. Especially season 1 was so goddamn beautiful, but I never got to finish the second part of season 1, and now I got to get to season 2. And goddamn, I can't wait for season 3. Oh my god, because I know what they'll be adapting finally. But like, yeah, there's just a lot of series where it's like, damn, I'm gonna miss it. Also, I recently got for Tenki no Ko, or I got the Ultra Blu-ray version of that one, or Ultra HD, I guess they call it, or whatever. Because I'll be honest, I don't know how that would look in 4K. What? I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know what I saw it in theaters at, but like, I'd be kind of curious to see if I notice a major difference rewatching that film in 4K. Doing the same thing with Your Name, because surprisingly, I was surprised to discover I hadn't yet bought Your Name on Blu-ray. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll get the Ultra HD for that one too and check them out. Because if there's any films that I definitely would want to see in Ultra HD, it'd be a Shinkai film. All right, so there is these pots here, but there's nothing else. Oh, what are they? Are these pots up here? Because you have the grave stuff, right? Yeah, we have different pots here. Fascinating. Fascinating. They have more detailed pots here. Those are a lot more rough. Huh, I wonder if these are used anywhere else. Huh. And you have the normal pots back here, right? Yeah, you do. Okay. It's not over here, is it? Am I that blind? I mean, I could be. It wouldn't be the first time. I wonder. All right, chat, it's time to test a theory. I don't think this is going to work, but let's test a theory, shall we? Got a lot of that spirit stuff. I mean, this is kind of interesting in itself because I don't think we see a lot of these underground. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the fact these exist in the midst of these ancient dynasty ruins could be significant. But let's test something. I wonder? Do I wonder? There we go. There we are. When it comes to like authors and things, like I'm always the person that's like, you know, I read for the story. I don't like to get into like cult things about artists and stuff, because yes, I like for example, I love my Shinkai films, right? But that doesn't mean like I necessarily call myself a fan of Shinkai himself, because, you know, I don't really know or care much about him and his personal life or anything anyway. Like, that's his business or whatever, you know, whatever is going on with him is for whatever, you know, it's more Japan's concern than mine, right? Like, and that's just how I feel about that stuff in general. So like generally, you know, you always hope the best out of people, right? But you always assume that there can always be the worst too. I think it's very important when so you don't get too caught up in celebrity. This is not, I don't think this is gonna work, because we're not seeing it here, but I'm not really seeing it up there either. Let's try going the other way now. See if let's go this way now. Because at least I could say, okay, yeah, it's not supposed to be here. But if it went down here now... I guess over here would be fine. Ah. Oh. I did not draw up the way I should have. I hate creepy crawlies and things, and this area generally gives me the willies. You mean with the ants? I mean, I can't much say I care about. I don't know, fictional stuff I'm generally not going to get really wheezy about. Generally, if it's, yeah, generally it'll be something in my own head that will get me. Like sometimes cannibalism and stuff will get me because I like, you know, it's kind of weird to say. It's like you imagine it, right? And sometimes, you know, that image, I guess, just kind of hits you on a primal level, right? Like, generally speaking, outside of, like, something like that, I'm not usually bothered. So I've never really considered these games very horrifying, right? Like, I know some people are like, oh, look at all the horror in From Software. I'm like, I guess they borrow horrific imagery, I suppose. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. Yeah, because the idea is supposed to be those leaves and stuff come from in and around the Eternal City. So we see a bunch of them in that initial area. But I was wondering if we could use it where, like, oh, if it grows in the false night sky, then is it possible that as Estelle travels and drops off pieces of itself, could we get a sign of the trajectory? But I don't think we can. So yeah, I don't think this hypothesis works. There's a lot more of these spirit flowers than I thought there were in this. And they're definitely not here. I find it really hard to separate art from artists. Yeah, again, it's something that you know, I get it. Why I get the psychology of, like, you know, you really loving like works and stuff like that and appreciating it and want to, you know, you kind of get attached to it and think that the author and stuff, like, you know, by proxy is like everything like you, or at least enough like you that you grow a similar attachment, right? But again, I mean, again, I am a very bizarre person that I work basically under the assumption that I always imagine every person I interact with or talk to at the very least, might secretly be the worst person I can possibly imagine, right? So I kind of go in with like the mentality at the back of my head, right? That like, you know, if you turn out to be a piece of shit, like I'm not going to be like too crazily surprised about that then, right? Because I've already kind of like assumed the worst already, right? But it's not like I mean like, oh my god, like, oh, like, you know, I'm worried that every single person, like, you know, I'm not paranoid about that, right? It's just kind of like a mental check I do for myself to be like kind of like, okay, like, hey, I can get along with you, I can work with you, I can tolerate you, we may have differences, we may have things we align or whatever, right? But it kind of doesn't matter. It's just like matters of like, you know, what are we trying to do here? What is the purpose of our interaction? To be friends, to do like a business arrangement, to do something else, like yada yada, right? Hey, it's nothing personal or anything, right? So I find that has worked very well for me, right? But I totally get for a lot of people, right? Like you just kind of want to believe you can kind of get along with like anybody, and if they make something you like, that therefore they're someone that you will like by extension, right? Which isn't always the case, right? It's why I'm probably glad to do these streams, because all you guys can look at here and be like, oh my god, this guy's an idiot. It's probably the best thing. I'm doing a public service to the entire world. No, a lot of people are like that, Nick. You shouldn't, you know, again, I totally get it for people, right? Like you feel that way, and when you can't, like you can't really like enjoy stuff or work in the same way or what have you, right? I totally understand that. It totally makes sense, you know? If there's something, especially something like, I don't know, like, you know, people get outed as something horrible or something, you're like, oh no, now everything I do with that work, I can't stop thinking about that with that person, right? Like it's normal. Yeah, exactly, right? Again, that's why I always say like it's better to try to just kind of keep in mind to be like, you know, kind of accepting of the fact that, yeah, you never know with people or whatever. Enjoy the work for what it is and what have you. You get meaning or something like that, right? Nobody's perfect. Some people are definitely not perfect, right? And whatever you find out, good or bad, about the oh, there's more of these blue white flowers here too. Interesting. You can at least accept that at the very least they added something, something enjoyable to this world. Whether or not that balances anything else out. Yeah, there's nothing else here besides those corpses. Not even anything here on these corners. It's fascinating to me how it changed, because it has the blue flowers for the longest time. And then it's like, as soon as we cross this threshold, this is where it changes. I think this is about where it changes up there, too. Grave gloveworts grow very commonly underground. Okay, good to know. I figured they were mostly just tomb stuff. But I've never really paid attention to when I see them. Yeah, about here. Right? I remember us seeing the blue flower, yeah. Like right here at the dividing line. Yep. Pretty much right here. I wonder how long these blue and white flowers go for. Yeah, man, the flower lore is like crazy to me. Like, you told me back in Dark Souls 1, like, I'd be examining all the flower models and stuff, because it could be really important. I'd be like, oh, okay. I think you're a little nuts. I think you're gonzo. You're too deep in the sauce. And maybe I am. Oh, look, did you get RTX 70? Was thinking of upgrading. I think I got the 5070 Ti. It was one of those middle ones, whichever one was the middle one. I know they're now coming out with like a 580 Ti or Super or whatever it was called. Let me double check for you, Nobre, the exact name, because I do not remember it off the top of my head. Oh my goddamn goldfish memory. RTX 5070 Super. No, that's not it. So Ti. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got the Ti way back when. I mean, so far, it's been working great. We haven't had any problems on this game and stuff like that. I haven't stress tested it against any, like, newer games yet, because most of those I've been getting on PS5. So I can't, like, tell you, like, how great it's been going, but, like, I don't know. I got the 5070. I got, like, a new, I got, like, the third best processor on the market. I got myself tons of RAM and things like that. Like, I have, like, over 100 gigabytes of RAM just to be extra doubly safe sure that I never have to worry about RAM ever again. So, like, I may not be... There we go, back in the water. We get the blue flowers. What if we're out of the water? Do the blue flowers continue, or is it blue and white still? Anyway, so I don't know if I'm in the best position to be giving recommendations. Because I don't know what you're playing, Nobre, if you feel like you're gonna really need a 5070 even. Well, Nick, again, you know, I'm not too open of a person or something about my just because I generally, just for my general safety, I like to, keep mum about myself as much as possible, right? But like, I'm not like, it's not like I have any huge like things in my closet died or whatever. But the point is, like, like, I'm not here to be you guys' buddy, right? Like, my job is to deliver for you guys analysis on From Software, specifically as with regards to localization error, right? Like, that is my service for the community, as it were, right? So for all intents and purposes, I don't try to make it about me or anything like that, because I really don't matter. What's important is that you guys get the good information. It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know, we get taken over by, the bug people or whatever. They throw me into a concentration camp. Like, it doesn't matter. My stuff is out there for you guys to enjoy or whatever. Yeah, we still have the blue flowers. I'm not finding those blue and white ones anymore. They disappeared. As soon as you hit that lake. I think they're even here. Well, there's no flowers, period, here, so, like, that's not that crazy. But, yeah. You have an RTX 3070? I would be careful over it, because if you can, you might want to, because it looks like they're going to, I hear they're going to come out with, like, 5080, 58 Super, maybe a 5070 Super, who knows. So, like, I would kind of just wait a little bit, see if there's any announcements about that stuff going forward and what the pricing will be. But I will, and it might also lead to a drop in pricing for some of the other 5070 stuff if they, if obviously there's the new big upgrade that everyone's going to be going after. But in general, I can't say I complained about my 5070s and stuff like that, but I also can't claim that I've really used them to the same extent. Okay, no, that's not a flower, that's a bug. Yeah, they're not really using, the blue-white flowers that much outside the actual ruins. Now I'm gonna be paranoid and be like, are blue-white flowers ancient dynasty? Now, like, that's gonna be all over my brain. Oh, I'm very good at idea how much of a scumbag I are. Either way. No problem, Nick. No problem. I will continue to keep my scumbaggery on the down low for your sake. Hmm. No, that's covered there. I think we're pretty much done with Bellum Highway. I talked about a bit of the Runestream Precipice. I put in stuff like that in there, so I feel very confident on what we have on that front. Oh, my bad. Are there any flowers here? This stuff we're covering in the Omen analysis. I'm so happy. I had this on the Twitter thread, not using the new name, for the longest time, so it feels so good. Well, well, where are all those flowers? Well, we have Mirandas here, but oh boy. Those Mirandas, they really like it. I think these are the only places we find the yellow ones here too, right? Before Ashen Lane Dell, right? Crazy. They have a little bit of like kind of black on their edges, so I can't tell if that's supposed to be like dirt or something, or just like a discoloration because plant. One of these days, your secrets will be open to me. One of these days. Those goddamn stupid jellyfish. Oh, we also have one of them in the Perfumer's Ruins, right? So it's not just in the lake. So I guess you can kind of argue it kind of is, because that's probably where they got it, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Torrent just casually breaking everything with each step. All right. Okay. Sure, whatever. Whatever. Yay! I wonder if having the Erdtree Noble guy here is the justification for the Stake of Marika. You know, I know they removed this stuff in certain areas, right? That seem to be generally, like, at least lore justifiable, why they would make sure there's not one here. But I do wonder if that's supposed to mean that, like, there's always a reason for why they include one in other areas. Be kind of curious about that one. But then that's gonna be such a pain in the ass being like, okay, chat, today on stream, we're gonna be going through every single Stake of Marika. Like, oh my god, fucking kill me. Just end me. Yeah, we have the violet flowers here. My good old pinkish purple. My purple pink. My pink. Blood roses. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any alternate scenario for why. Because the only thing I can think of is river overflows here, floods this area, overflows down here. Like, this is the only thing I can, in fact, think of to justify it. I'm trying to think if there's anything, like, deeper I can go in, right? Like, are the crabs maybe a clue to something I'm missing? Is there, like, something else happening in this area? Like, was there a big fire here? But then the question would be, like, where would the water come from that they would be needing? Just gotta figure it all out. That's what hell sounds like. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to trying to find every single stake of America. Because I would not be surprised if that stuff isn't even like something wikis keep track of. Because who the hell needs to know the exact spot of every stake of America? They either exist or they don't. Congrats. We've already been all through here. I don't think there's anything new I really want to check out here. It's a nice, useful refresher. Our favorite Scarlet Rot. It's funny because these are normal poison and stuff like that, but there's definitely Scarlet Rot here, so... I guess we killed Malay Murray already. Oh no, he's still here. Okay. All right, let's leave him to all his Melania figurines. It's just normal trees in there, right? There's no conifers or anything. Yeah, it's just the dead ones and then the Altus trees. Yeah, Shaded Castle makes absolutely zero sense when it comes to the actual sinking and stuff part. Right? Because it's like, the part of it over here has not sunk, but this part supposedly has sunk, right? And like, why do you have these giant rock formations right in the middle of it? For, like, what? Why? Like, how are you even supposed to get through the gate here, right? Also, why the hell did you put a stone wall here for the gate? You could have just put like a pork cutlass and it would have worked the same. But then you had your second gate now where it's like, oh, there's a... I don't know why there's a giant rock thing slamming through here. Like, what, are we supposed to believe it's supposed to just be like actually a tiny doorway? They built the giant gateway, but they're like, it'll just have a tiny door. The rest of it will make stone. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, I don't know. I get it. It's for the area progression and the way that they wanted to handle it, but I'm just saying this doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me, broski. This just seems silly. Like I said, it becomes sillier when you're like, oh wait, but this stuff isn't falling or anything. Like, there's no way any of this is sync. If they did like more damage and destruction, like to this stuff here, to make you feel like the walls at least over here may have sunk in deeper, right? I could maybe then buy it. Oh, but they added analog for the average From Software fan. But yeah, the entirety of this Shaded Castle thing is like, I love the concept, but I'm like, the execution definitely kind of feels like almost DS2 tier level. It definitely feels DS2 tier. Got the violet flowers over here too, interestingly enough. Rancid Rot Mama. I'll be honest, I don't know how popular. Again, I don't pay attention to that type of stuff with From Software characters, so I don't know how popular like the shipping or any of that thing is, right? Like, I understand from Nardi, there's probably a lot of Radigan, Renala, America shippers, right? But like, I have no idea. I have no idea how much people goon to like Melania or whatever. It's the same flowers as here? I think they are. I think it's funny you can find Miranda flowers having plant sex in the Liurnia downstream cave. I mean, they gotta pollinate. We gotta get those numbers up. Also, if it's true that the Miranda flower is like some derivative of the Miranda, the god of the Rao civilization, and the entire like premise of that civilization was mixing gold with rot, I think it's very fitting how much the the Miranda flowers get focused on by the rock cult. Just saying. I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, these are the same flowers. Okay. Fascinating. Is this... I guess this is a dirt road, huh? Yeah, kind of crazy to think about. There's dirt roads for all this here. It's a little randomish here. Like, yeah. 1, 2. Again, I guess that makes sense because you have the emplacements here and all that jazz. Kind of have to go over there. Up here too. Fascinating. Listen, I've learned long ago, Rule 34 has taught me long ago that everyone will somehow find something vaguely female hot. I'm sure the same vaguely male too, but somehow it will happen. But yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't consider personally any of the Elden Ring characters to be sexy, except maybe I guess Radigan and Godwin, because you know they're just like the big out there with their six-pack shirtless. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get the appeal there, right? But like, I guess Ronnie, but Ronnie's I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think Elden Ring gives you a lot of waifus, personally. They give you a lot of waifus, but not actual, you know, waifus, if you get my drift. She must smell vile too. I actually don't know what rot would smell like for Malenia. Like, does it smell rancid, or is it just like kind of like a festering wound? You don't really smell it, you kind of just see and feel it, you know? Yes, Nick, but someone will find them hot. Listen, the war crimes just add to the charm. I'm sure there's someone out there who's gooning to Rykard. I'm sure those people exist. I know more exists, so I know there must be some Rykard fans out there. And then you add the snake thing, and they're like, oh, good. We also have some tentacle play, too. Yeah, we know. So you just get the red flowers here, surprisingly. Uh-huh. Alrighty then, so this red flower. Am I crazy? Where'd the red flowers go? Weren't they just here? Okay, they're here. So they stop at this point. So you have the carts and stuff here. Working the cleanup. And then we continue on to here. Yeah, nothing new here. Yeah, I want to talk about the village with Godwin stuff. Pretty sure. Yeah, I guess Godwin would have to be. I guess I should add that to the list too, with those who live in death and Godwin and all that stuff. Just for all the historical listings. I mean, I probably want to talk about Fia. I feel like I would kind of have to. Because, you know, like, it'd be weird to talk about Godwin and not talk about him becoming, like, I don't know, the king for the new room or whatever Fia was doing. I forget. All I know is she had his baby. Well, I can't easily, Nick, because it's fiction. Fiction's always the answer. No one cares. No one cares about the morality of some made-up entity. It just matters that the entity looks hot or not. You can imagine them doing whatever you want, and you can keep or discard or change whatever character traits, qualities, or whatever, right? Ultimately, it's just about the visual attractiveness. Now, real life, I've always found it weird, especially on the shipping side of things, personally. Just because I'm like, I don't know. I guess you could do the same thing because you just abstract it where the person basically is no longer that person anymore, right? They're just kind of like, you know, they're basically a fictional character you have using, you know, their looks or what have you, right? But, you know, like, I'm not like big where it's like, oh, this celebrity would look hot or sexy if they date this celebrity or whatever. Like, that type of stuff, I'm just like, I don't know. It's not for me. I find that stuff, I'm just like, I don't know, that one just kind of feels a little bit odd to me. Just a little. But like I said, with fiction, I get it. With fiction, who cares? None of it's real. Much rather have people making up, come up with stupid things to do with characters in fiction than in real life. That's for sure. It's really a missed opportunity. We don't get to hear Godwin's perspective of the world post-shattering in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. I feel like it's appropriate for, like, you know, the whole him being like death incarnate thing. I mean, I like the body horror aspect of Godwin and all that stuff. Like, I like the aesthetic and things that go with Godwin and Fia and all that jazz. I've never been that attached to Godwin's as a character where I feel like we need more lore. Like, I felt like we got enough. In fact, now that I've done the Gloamite Queen stuff, I definitely feel like we don't need more Godwin lore. Like, I'm looking forward to doing an update to Ancient Dragon lore, just to give a paragraph blurb more on Godwin's background. Because now, with the things we know, and what Godwin ends up accomplishing afterward, like, we actually get a lot more on shaping who he is, how he came to be than ever, right? Like, I'm definitely now of a much firmer opinion that, yeah, I don't think Godwin was America's firstborn. Like, not by a long shot. I can still see people, I can still understand people who want to believe she was like his golden boy and she, like, you know, she loved him the most or something like that. Like, I can, sure, I'm willing to entertain that as a possibility, right? But I don't think she was his firstborn child anymore, for sure. I mean, I never really took that position, but, like, definitely not now. If anything, I'm wondering now when I go back now to add that stuff to Ancient Dragon War, if there's anything about Godwin's psychology that'll really stick out to me now. Because I've talked about previously about some of the stuff with, like, you know, Godfrey and things that Godwin seems to do and act for. But I'm wondering if I'm like thinking about like, okay, yeah, now the stuff with Malakath and everything, like what is it that's going through that brain of his on how he's acting and behaving? But we'll see, we'll see. Like I said, I also have to probably consider the possibility. Yeah, I have to also consider the possibility of adding a paragraph on Radahn about this idea that some meteors have already slipped through. So, like, there are possible falterings in Radahn's seal on the stars based on this. But again, one of the problems I think I could see this turning where it's like, you know, it's not really, it's different because, I don't know, X or Y is the cause of the meteor shower. The only problem I have with that is that these meteors seems to be in really random locations, right? Like we have them here, we have them all the way down here. And they're so few and far between that it kind of leaves me that's supposed to be more of an anomaly in the era of Radahn, right? Is there further depth to him narratively than being a Baldur stand-in / Superman figure? All right, so putting aside some of the stuff I might be adding because of the Glowmite Queen thing, Godwyn seems to be a type of character who he grew up in one era. He grew up at the transition between one era to another. And so he has a lot of high respects for the era he was born in. But he recognizes times change, and he's more than willing to kind of jump to new things, right? And he seems to more or less make the lightning thing kind of his identity, right? Which makes sense. It's wrapped up in his heroism, you know, kind of with his friendship with Vortisax, kind of serves as kind of like a trophy thing almost, right? And we see his obvious support and involvement with the military by extension for everything he's done, right? So he's no doubt a very important and influential figure. On a personal level, I'm not sure what that says about any of his relationships, though. Other than him being a filial son. That seems pretty certain at this point. But it's hard to say because obviously when Godwyn becomes the Death Prince, he's effectively a different character now because he's, you know, he's soulless, but his body's still acting and moving, right? According to the death curse and stuff like that. So in some way, again, the idea is that Godwyn himself is living in death. So there's an argument to be had that it's not really Godwyn, it's a new entity in Godwyn's skin. And at the very least, it's hard to even tell how developed this entity is. Like, does it have because unlike those we see with those who live in death, does it have any sense of consciousness or individuality or anything like that? Or is it just purely with what we see with the Godwyn face and stuff? Is it more like a virus where it more so acts on the sentiment of the curse itself, right? And it's not truly living in the same way that you and I are living, right? Like it's very much like that virus where it kind of almost mimics something that is really alive, right? And again, what constitutes life in Elden Ring and stuff like that, I'm willing to concede that doesn't change that he's one of those who live in death, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, But yeah, I don't know if that majorly affects his role because he's still clearly supposed to be this kind of icon of the Golden Order, right? Again, he represents both eras very well. This Crucible era he comes from and this post-Crucible era with the Ancient Dragon War. And obviously he lives under the time of Radagon and stuff like that. So I am curious if there's anything regarding fundamentalism that Godwyn was involved in, but we'll never know at this point. Maybe in the future during the Elden Ring movie, they will reveal that he was a die-hard fundamentalist, even more so than Miquella was, and we'll see. I don't know. All right, that's all done there. So we covered there. We covered that. Got the stuff on the Halig tree or whatever covered. Jarberg. Well, something to add that it's implied Godwyn defends Fia when you hurt her by him. Oh, really? What happens when you attack Fia by there? I've never done it, obviously. Yeah, I don't see anything in Liurnia where I'm like, yeah, we still need to go over this. Like, we've covered a bit of the stuff with the Black Knife Catacombs I've talked about before. I still don't know if I would have the Mausoleum Knights be like in a Miquella thing or if they'd be their own separate debacle. I'd have to think about that one. You know, I'm thinking about those now, the other soulless demigods and stuff like that. I do wonder how much what we're seeing being done is about bringing them, like when we're talking about resurrecting them or whatever, I wonder how much of that is about bringing the body back, right? So it's like they're still soulless. Because the idea is that like with Ranni and Godwyn, one becomes dead in soul, the other becomes dead in body. So I do wonder if the mausoleums, the reason why there's such focus on their success is not because they're actually bringing like they're not restoring the actual bodies back to like the actual like people and their souls back to life, but maybe they're just restoring their bodies so they're not technically quote unquote dead, and maybe that's considered success enough. I don't know, spitballing there still. Rancors are cast above her head, and Fia basically says, Godwyn, is that you? Oh. Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense if there's at least some instinct to Godwyn. Yeah, I would have to just cover astrologers to get some of this stuff out here. Although I will say there's still the stuff about some of the thorns and the maidens I'd still be curious about. Like I can see this stuff being connected to the Blood Star and what we see elsewhere, but I am kind of curious. Because like when was this town have been established? Is it before or after the Liurnian Wars, right? That'd be a huge. Because if it's after, then I can see a lot of where this idea of studying sorcery with faith comes in the picture. Right. And that leading to the thorn stuff, right? Yeah, I'm also wondering now, chat, if it's true that the room bears are bears or whatever that eat like they're basically like dragon communion type bear things, which is funny because we have bear communion. But I wonder if that's supposed to help you indicate that dragons once lived in these areas or regions of the map. Like the idea would be that Mistwood had lots of dragons living there once upon a time, at least. That all these room bears are examples of animals that or bears that had eaten the dragon stuff. We also have like a room bear up here by Dragon Barrow, but we don't really have many else over here. But again, there's this idea that the dragons weren't always there. They've moved down there, and I recall vaguely there also being one kind of here on the borderline area. So like that has crossed my mind. If room bears are splashable to some extent, because the idea is that dragons theoretically have resided in every corner, and that if we find more rune bears in a given area, maybe there's the idea that there's a bigger dragon population nestled there. Again, I could definitely see that having been the case once upon a time, over here potentially. The only problem is that then you have the minor Erd tree growing. So would the idea be that they were all killed when they established Fort Height on this corner? Is that the idea of why you have Fort Height randomly here overlooking the Mistwood? Because I could see that. I could definitely see it. You don't really see rune bears here to my memory except in this cave, right? Just the one. I don't remember if you see any else besides Mistwood here. I know you see like one there. And maybe a few more elsewhere. Like I think there's one like around here past this lake, right? Not sure if there's any over here. With the displacement of Far Missoula, I wouldn't doubt the existence of dragons early in the era. I'm talking about, of course, before Far Missoula went in the sky, though. I would be talking about Nick. So the idea... so is the idea the maidens that came here were sent off to the mountaintops and punished with the thorns? I don't think so. I think it would be independent, personally. I think this is its own separate thing. That maybe a similar practice arose. But again, I'd have to look deeper into that. Because my assumption would be... One, I'm not entirely sure if these characters are necessarily all women, right? Or any of them are necessarily women, I should say. Because at least their audio files that I was listening to don't sound too particularly feminine. Same with the design here, right? Again, I wouldn't doubt it if they were, but like we're not getting a lot of work with here. Not getting a lot of work with. Right, so I'm not entirely sure if they're necessarily all women just for the stuff on the mountaintops goes. The idea seems to be more so these are probably rebellious guardians. So instead of getting to kind of chill at the fort with their masks and stuff, they get the crown of thorns put on them as a way to kind of as mockery, and around the other parts of them as well, right? Their hands, their feet. So that's what I've gotten from there. And that this is just a bunch of Liurnians who kind of exile themselves to form their own sorcery town here because they don't want to deal with all the revulsion of faith-based sorcery. Now, again, could it be inspired by what Marika and peeps do that goes back to the mountaintops? Maybe. Again, I think I want to look at Nardi's stuff again, see if there's anything in the items that's really anomalous that I want to look at. I'll say the texture for their robes is similar to the maiden attire. It looks like the bloody cloth set to me. Maybe I'm crazy. Do they have a rope? Do they have this rope thing? One second. Ugh. Yeah, sure, whatever. This'll work. Now, see, we have like similar rope stuff here as well. So theirs just looks more bloodied, right? But it's like the same basic like cloth stuff, and then they have like the red robe thing over it. A little bit more tattered on this end of the rope that you can see. Also, why would commoners carry around a bunch of horns? I guess because sheep herding or something? Don't they do like, I guess use horns for that? Yeah, okay, chat. I think we're about tapped out in terms of stuff I want to look at. We've looked at Gelmir so much. Are there any special flowers at the graveyard here? I don't think so. Oh yeah, they use the purple violet ones. Alright, so nothing too crazy. Like, those purple violet ones are popular. Then you got the pink ones here. So we got purple and violet and pink. And I don't think it's just the red ones here, right? Made an entire all says robe. Yeah, so it's basic cloth. Basic like cloth robe type thing. Yeah. Not really specifically flowers here. We have the red ones, but those seem to have grown. Oh. It's one of those. I mean, if you're gonna do that to me.
Well, Divul.
Yeah, this one has a similar thing going too. With the prophets. I think she'll be able to grab it at the shack in the mountaintops. The shack. Oh, right. Over here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can try to grab it if it's there. I might already have it. I don't remember whether I looted that stuff or not. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, no, I got nothing. We have this. We have like belts and stuff for some of these, but so we got this one, the traveling maiden robe. This one's got a similar rope thing going. I didn't realize how different. Yeah, this really is a different design. Beautiful. Uh-huh. Yeah, just this guy kind of going around. Yeah, I think in total, I think we're done for tonight. I feel like we're at the point now where I've hit the saturation in terms of things to see and record for the data collection. And now it's more so sitting down, writing that stuff out, building up the knowledge base, expanding on things as I realize new details and stuff like that, right? Because like I feel like we have pretty much everything we're gonna get for Farum Azula, Nox, Ancient Civ and Dynasty. There might be more because we have the DLC stuff still. Obviously Hornsent, Mesmer, you know, that type of stuff. You know, anything related to the DLC, that'd be obviously a separate story. But for base game, Godwyn, Rykard might also be at that point. Ronnie, I assume Ronnie's, yeah, I would also be, but like, I don't know, it might be, there may be stuff I'm missing because there's so many moving parts with Ronnie's quest and all the characters in it, so. Up top, you can also modify it to take the shawl. Well, yeah, that would make sense, yeah. But yeah, so I do feel like we're at the point now where, unless it's like something super specific, like specific bosses or cutscenes or something, I feel like we're getting to the level where, like, I've kind of looked at and seen all there is to see in ER. So really the last thing would be just making sure I have all a complete and total accurate list of items and locations and assets of all those things. Just so I can kind of keep track of what's in the overworld, what's in the what's in the not the underworld, the interiors of locales and dungeons and things like that and all that. I think outside of that, I think we're pretty much set. I mean, the fact I was able to pump out as much as I was in terms of drafting for stuff for omens, stuff for Glow My Queen, stuff for fire monks and things like that, I think that kind of tells me that like yeah, I've gotten most of the specifics that I'm going to be able to get out of this game. It's now just a matter of putting it all together and weaving together the conclusions to the analysis, right? The narrative, as it were. Oh, lol. There we go. Funny. I didn't realize it would work there. We have an Arteria leaf there. Now I'm gonna get paranoid if I see Arteria leaves on the mountaintops. Yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything, chat. Like, again, there's probably specific things or what have you with characters and places and things that I want to look at. But I think for today, like, I've looked over a broad array of stuff, and I'm thinking, like, yeah, I think we're getting close to being tapped out on what I can garner exploring the world and seeing everything. Gonna obviously need reminders in the future, but you need boss shots in DLC? Oh, for sure. There's definitely a lot of bosses in the DLC. Like, I haven't gotten any shots of Romina in combat or anything like that. I think I have enough shots of Rolana. Definitely not shots of Mesmer, though. Obviously, if I ever get to Mesmer's Crusade, I want to have shots of them both. Yeah, there's tons of stuff. There's tons of stuff, like, screenshot-wise, there's always going to be more stuff I can grab or re-grab if I don't like what I've already grabbed. I think the bigger concern would be... this guy's still hostile to me. The bigger concern for me is going to just be making sure that, like, what I have already gets done and published or whatever, so I don't possibly forget any information in my brain before, like, you know... before my goldfish memory sends it through the shredder. Because, you know, there's only I have so many of these games that are just kind of like sitting there, plus all my own stuff, so it's like, goddamn, please, I need a new hard drive for space. Someone give me my new cerebral hard drive. But yeah, so what I'm thinking is that I think we should focus. Obviously, I'm focusing a lot on the Bloodborne stuff. Blood Saints is something I want to work on after Tumaru, right? So as soon as I get this big Tumaru thesis organized and stuff, I'll be working on that. Probably gonna also be working on Gascoigne and stuff. On the side, I'll be working on the stuff I've already drafted. And hopefully, once that's all done, and probably the month will be over as well, the new year will begin, and we could start, like, plotting, like, okay, what Elden Ring stuff do I want to keep working on? If so... it's going to be very interesting because depending on how stuff like the new Switch version is handled and stuff like obviously Night Rain is going to give us new lore starting tomorrow, and what else we're going to grab from the Elden Ring film that's supposedly being worked on and all that stuff. Like, it's really curious because that could definitely help like add, change, update, revise, like, you know, it could do a lot of things to affect like what I'm working on, right? Because we get like, oh, this thing was implied, but now it's explicit because the film outright points it out. It's like, oh, cool. That can help us out immensely. And I also think that a lot of the history stuff, like I said, I'm so close to finishing like the Godfrey stuff. It'll just be Mesmer soon. That's just like going to be left hanging in between some of these things. And I'm okay with that. That's going to be really nice. And then we can start focusing on like, okay, do I cover Night of the Black Knives? Do I cover The Shattering? Do I cover Ancient Civ and Dynasty? Do I cover Farmazula, right? Do I cover the Nox? I feel like Nox has definitely got a good chance to be done because there's just, I think there's enough there. I just think there's enough things to talk about Nox and everything regarding them. But I think I've decided, yeah, that I do want to talk about like the Eternal Cities and stuff. And then if I want to, I can fill in more explanations in The Shattering. Because I do feel like I'd want to at least mention that it looks like probably the stuff with the the Nameless Eternal City occurs post-Shattering, sometime in that early period. Either before or shortly after the war. Or sorry, during or shortly after the war, I should clarify. And then there's also the arrival of the Tarnished. I feel like that would have to be its own separate topic, most likely, because then we have to talk about probably Vike and Volgrim and Morgoth letting the Tarnished in and then kicking them out, and the whole Ash all over Leyndell. Hey, I am you came just in time for me to end stream. Lol. So I feel like all that stuff is going to be you know, just kind of like something that I'm gonna have to think about for topics to include. I don't know. Night of the Black Knives like kind of intrigues me, but kind of doesn't, because I feel like we all know what I'm gonna be talking about for Night of the Black Knives. If I thought that Gloamite Queen wouldn't really have much for me to talk about new, I really don't think Black Knives is gonna have that much new for me to talk about. Especially, I guess it depends on whether or not you subscribe to the "don't worry guys, America was totally the mastermind behind it all" theory. She drove herself mad for reasons. Maybe then my stuff would be like really crazy new and different for you. But yeah, I don't know. There's like there's so much I'd want to do, and I don't know if I want to do it over some of the Bloodborne stuff, because we had Gascoigne, League, Bloodsaints. There was something besides Gascoigne and League, wasn't there? Obviously Loran, and I don't know, maybe they're like, I guess Patches the Spider. No, I feel like Patches would be a character I would just kind of mention in passing for a bunch of in-between stuff, because we still have Beasts and Great Ones, and like I said, I don't know if any of those are going to be like, am I going to have them as two separate things, combine them into one, make them part of a Blood's Beginning, right? Yeah, you missed the timing. You missed your timing. You didn't cast your Clock Up EX. Shame on you. You're not using your feet properly. Gotta get that Joshua up to the 200 speed. Turn him into a speed demon. Him and Fee gotta be able to make you go fast. All right, anyway, I think that's all for now. Talk to you guys later, chat. I'm gonna be thinking all this over for a while. Bye-bye.